You want to confirm? Yes, we are. All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I hope you're doing really well. It is Saturday evening in Lagos, Nigeria. So, wherever part you are joining us from, thank you for joining. Welcome to another session of Home Circle with Keble. Keble is a real estate technology company, and what we do is simply ensure that it is easy for you to buy into real estate regardless of where you're starting from and regardless of your income bracket, right? So we're in for a ride. Here with us is an expert in real estate. We have these conversations very often so that you can understand the mindset behind real estate. You can understand how to make money in real estate, ask the right questions, know the answers to those questions, and help you get started, right? So this is one conversation I am looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to. It's always a great opportunity to go behind the scene and just really find out the why, the how, and every single thing. So I think Mr. Oghe is trying to adjust his camera. I'd like to know, where are you joining us from? So in the comments, can you tell us where you're joining us from? Every single thing like that. Where are you joining us from? Hi, Mr. Oghe. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for joining and doing this with us at Keble. So my first question would be, really, why real estate? How did you come into real estate? Because you have a background in chemistry. How come you're right now in real estate? How was that journey and transition like?
Basically, I started my career in marketing. So I worked in marketing agencies. So I transitioned into real estate through marketing to handle digital marketing. I grew during the process, mastered sales, mastered acquisition, and a lot of stuff along the line. And as I grew along the ranks, I figured that okay, this is something I really would take on. I saw problems firsthand. I solved problems firsthand, and I saw people having money, wanting more, and then
Hmm,
there was a gap that needed human capital skills to fill.
that's actually very interesting. I actually think that's very interesting. And somebody is joining us from Plato. So hi Godwin, it's so nice to have you here. That's actually very interesting. I like the fact that you are not like from an engineering background. So it's not a thing of, oh, it was rocket science or something. There's actually like a thought process to it. I also like the fact that you mentioned that there was actually a problem, right? People just think that real estate is just building, 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 but it is not. There is a mindset, there is a strategy, there's all of that to it, right? And so, for the period that you've been in real estate, my question would now be, what do you think about the Nigerian real estate space? A lot of times it's easy to say Nigeria is just Lagos, but what do you think about the Nigerian space and how it has even grown year on year on? I don't know if it's only me, but Mr. Okay, I can't hear you currently. No, it's not. I can see that you're speaking, but I can't.
Hold
I
on.
think it's back. Yes, it's back.
Is it better now?
Yes, yes, yes. I can hear you now fully.
Okay. So, like I was saying that in Nigeria is one of those countries where you can sleep broke and wake up a millionaire. I have a couple of friends in the diaspora who have structured earnings, right? They can tell you this is what I'm earning this month. They are sure there's no only a very few people, but in Nigeria you can wake up, have an idea because we still have a country that is unstructured trying to be structured. And in an
Hmm.
unstructured place, there is a lot of opportunities to make money. And those who key into it early enough are making a lot of money.
That's actually absolutely right. You're actually absolutely right. There was a time that buying cement was cheaper than now. So imagine you built all your houses then, you will not be facing the issues or the price increase in prices that you are. They're just really some certain benefits that come in with really starting early, and I actually absolutely agree with it. My next question would now be, as you just mentioned, diasporans. It feels like the diasporan guys find the Nigerian space exciting, attractive more than Nigerians. Is there a reason why? From like your experience with dealing with both parties, is there a reason why?
To a large extent, for them, it feels like they are buying at a discount because
Okay.
of the valuation of the naira. Now, for the earning power is also higher for them. So, take for instance, a customer service person or a doctor. Let's say a doctor in Nigeria probably earns 1 million naira. Same job, same role. A doctor in the UK earns maybe 10 million naira or $10,000. That's in equivalent. That's about 15 million naira. So that
Hmm.
person has more cash lying around. Yes, they might say their bills are skyrocketing, but at the end of the day, they probably still have $1,000 left or $500 left that they can spare. And that allows them that flexibility to invest back home. So that advantage already is like they are one step ahead of those back home.
Okay, that's actually very interesting. Really, right? Exchange rate also plays like a factor in it. But for someone that wants to be that is in diaspora, let's say Canada, let's say the US, and wants to invest back home, what do you think they should actually look out for, right? Because sometimes they are very excited, right? Oh, I'm buying back home, oh, thank God, oh, or there's just this emotional attachment with it, right? And from how you have explained real estate at the beginning, there is a strategy side to it. It's not just plunging the money at any place. How in specific should they invest back home? What should they look out for? What in particular should they actually look out for or be focused with on?
Now, everybody has their goals when it comes to real estate, first off. Now,
Hmm.
when once those goals align, so for instance, the goals can be I am buying a house for Airbnb. You can be buying the house for your family. I can be buying the house for a retirement home. You can be buying it for like let it even look like a holiday destination. Now that has to first be defined. Then the next set of things that are important, you have to look at the ROI. Is this place going to be worth it over time? Secondly, you
Hmm.
have to look at the legal side of it. Are the documents right? Uh, does it have proper title? Because you don't want to have issues days or years to come. Um, Secondly, you should consider your exit strategy for because it's an investment. A lot of people go into real estate purely for investment. So if you are investing, you should consider your exit strategy. How do you get out of this? If I'm done with this, if I've gotten what I want, you should consider that. It's very, 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 very basic. And to a large extent also, because there are different goals, you should consider the income potential. Okay, how much am I going to make out of this when if need be?
That is actually very spot on, if you ask me. Because sometimes people just say, I want to go into real estate. Ah, there's money inside, there's money inside. But there is certain locations, there is certain things you need to do. You can't just put your money anywhere. And I like that you started with a goal because different people have different goals. That's something that people that sell real estate don't say. They just want to close the commission, ensure that they buy it, right? And exit strategy is something people don't talk about. I'm not sure why, right? Do you actually want to own it forever? Or do you want to move on to doing something? Because sometimes it can be a stepping stone to
Yeah.
maybe another investment that you have. And so you mentioning exit strategy is something. And I want to just zoom in a bit to it with what are the different exit strategy that happens in real estate, right? What are the different other ways that I can easily dispose of this property?
So interestingly, a lot of people don't consider disposing as an exit strategy. So I have unique cases. I have cases where a lot of people go into real estate because first I will use it, then it becomes an inheritance. That's their exit strategy. So for them, they if it's land, they don't mind having it life fallow. If it's a property, they make the income they want to make from it, and then they know that they are going to pass it down. So I have an interesting case. I have a customer. He has he has bought three different projects from me, and every time he bought two. Every single time he bought two. There was a time he wanted to buy one plot of land. He said, "Give me as 300 square meters." And it was last Saturday I discovered that he has two kids. Not
Oh,
like I saw his two kids for the first time when they came to Nigeria. So, so you already could see that his exit strategy was his children, and that's very well put for him. Now, for the other people, I've seen people who transition their projects. So, for instance, they buy land, they first lease it out, or they first farm on it, do something temporary with it, and then when the place becomes something, maybe they start building on it. For a lot of people, they buy land not to struggle with selling, and they convert it to JVs, right? There are some people who have properties and they give themselves timelines to flip it, to say, I'll sell it, then I'll go and buy another emerging location. So I've seen a couple of customers who say, I'm buying this location because I believe it will appreciate. Once it appreciates, give me the next 2 to 3 years or 5 years, I will sell it, and then I go and buy another emerging location. So there are multiple exit strategies and people are implementing it. But one of the key um, takes in whatever exit strategy anybody's trying to implement is patience. You have to be patient, because I don't buy into the idea of distress sale, right? I don't buy into that idea. So one of the strategies, even as an exit strategy, is patience when it comes to real estate.
that's actually very true. I think even for every investment, patience and people need to learn to wait, right? A lot of times the interest is in the waiting. I've seen people say, "Oh, if I buy it now, when can I sell it off?" You just bought it. Allow it to appreciate. Then it also gives you the opportunity to do other things. You mentioned JV, right? For people that don't know, JV is called joint venture, where you can partner with somebody like a real estate developer and actually build on it. That generates you more value to your property and can in turn bring you rental income, right? And so it is important that people learn to just wait, especially when you're buying at the right place and at the right time, right? Sometimes it is important for you to just wait it out, right? Wait it out. With stocks also, you have to wait to start to get the earning. You can't buy something in January and in December you are just saying, "Oh, I want to sell it off," right? And to avoid this stress sale is you deciding, are you ready to hold this property for a while? Not that you buy it so that, oh, when the next emergency comes up, you would just sell it. It's not a bad idea. However, it doesn't allow you to fully get the full potential of your property. So I hope everybody is learning something. This is actually absolutely amazing. So in case you're just joining us or you just stumbled on this YouTube. Welcome. This is Keble. This is an home circle where we have conversations every week with real estate experts to help you make the right financial decision when it comes to real estate. Right? So I would go like to the next question. Please don't forget to tell us where you're joining us from. My next question to Mr. Oge would be, what is actually the best opportunity? Is it land? Is it house? What should I buy? Like, what should anybody buy for a Nigerian and also for somebody outside? So Nigerian in Nigeria and for a diasporan, what is a better option?
So any day, anytime, I will say land. Any day, anytime, I will say land. And the reasons are a lot. The reasons
Hmm.
are a lot. For instance, land has no maintenance costs, no construction costs. Um, Land, for also, I usually would say land first for for different reasons. Now, if you are new to real estate, you are trying to learn the ropes. The first place to start is land, right?
Hmm.
Now, sometimes also depending on the need of the person, there are people who want income. So I would advise you to do maybe rental properties or shortlets. But that would also mean that you need some form of expert. You need some level of professionalism, because real estate itself is a business, And
Hmm.
this is the reality. People fail in business. So, and if you don't know it, there is the you can make mistakes and you blame the assets instead of yourself. And because you are burnt, it might affect your perception about the asset. So, because a lot of people don't have experience in the business of real estate, I typically will advise them to start off with land. Land with a few checks, check the documentation, check the title, check the location. You might not go wrong. And I also advise people spread your eggs. And because with land, for instance, one investment can also correct a lot of your errors in the past. So land is a go-to option for me.
I really like that you mentioned that because it also has it's not as expensive as houses, so it's a good way to just
Yeah,
really leg into like real estate actually. And I like that you also referred back to goal because you mentioned that oh if your goal is this then this is an option. So everybody needs to have a goal at something. And I also like that you mentioned again you have to check the documentation, ask the questions, where is this property and all of that. My next question will be apart from Lagos, where are the other locations that people should actually look out for and why? Because now I'm seeing somebody from Plateau, about Lagos, Enugu, and right now Ogun State. But apart from Lagos, where are other locations people should actually key into and why?
so Nigeria is a growing nation.
Hmm.
The estimates are there that in the next 20 years, we probably would double in our population. So what it means is that the questions we asked our parents, where were you when so and so were having properties? For those of us who are in our 30s, 40s, 20s, in 20 years' time, our children will ask the same question if we don't have properties. So my first thing is what your money can afford, buy it and explain later. That's one. So apart from Lagos or Abuja, there are a lot of emerging markets, Ogun states. They are also affordable. Lay your hands on one or two, and because our country is expanding from the center, so what it means is if you're in Lagos, not the entirety of Lagos is developed. What it also means is that there are certain locations in Lagos that are still affordable. And if you are in Ogun State, for instance, some locations are also expensive. You also check, but whenever you are checking these emerging locations, you have to check data like, oh, are development coming to this place? Um, is there any focus in these areas? There are certain things you should check that would impact capital appreciation or even more people coming in that area. Because this is how I put it: the land that is affordable today did not it's not a new production. The land has been existent for a long time. So what it means is that that land has been affordable for a very long time, right? So um anything that will make it increase in value, you have to look out for those things, right? So first, one of the key things anybody should look at in real estate before talking about profit is ownership. You should have first before you're talking about profits. Now if you don't have, your conversation should not be profits. You don't even have. So for mind you, there are a lot of people who wait for other people to make things happen for them. I'll take Dangote as a case study. Dangote went to Ibejuleki when nobody was going there, and is the reason why other people are going there, right? In some cases, you can be the reason why other people are going to a place. You can go to a place and make a resort out of it and have people come there. You can go to a place and make your friends come there. That is demand. And once people are moving, it will appreciate. So yeah.
That's actually true. When somebody takes the step to change an area, it becomes attractive to everybody. Where everybody said, oh, no, now everybody can see it, right? So if your documentation is right, your title is right, and nobody's there, you can think of ways of, okay, what exactly can I do to ensure that people come into it? I think that we are seeing more rise in resorts, which is very nice because sometimes when you see videos from foreign countries. They're like, this thing we can do it in Nigeria now. We have land, these fine houses. We can actually also do it here. We can replicate it, right? Because there's land, and there's a saying that they are not producing more land. The land is already the land. There's no way to produce or invent more lands, as the case may be. And actually, I think that that is actually very spot on. But I want to speak to the part where you mentioned cheap, right? Some people are worried at how cheap a property is. Is there any direct correlation between the property is cheap to the errors or a mistake with the property? Like, is it possible that a cheap land is free from any encumbrance, any government whatsoever, or anything? Is there any correlation?
No, 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 no. So cheap sometimes is relative to exposure. Now, cheap sometimes is also relative to demand. Cheap sometimes is, so for instance, land is land, right? Why is someone in Ogun State choosing to sell his land for 500,000 naira and someone in Lekki Phase 1 is choosing to sell for 10 million or 100 million? But they are both land. Now, for someone in Ogun State who nobody has come to ask for their land, in 30 years, their father had it, handed it over to their grandfather had it, handed it over. So sometimes demand can influence it. Demand can influence it. Sometimes the availability can influence it. So for instance, why is Lekki Phase 1 expensive? There are too many people chasing too few lands. If you move away from that center, you see that there are more lands that few people are asking for. So it means the buyer has bargaining power. The buyer has
Yes.
bargaining power. And I was telling my guys in the office, I don't think Dangote wanted to go as far as Ibejuleki to do his refinery. He would have preferred Lekki Phase 1. But yes, he's the richest man in Africa, but he cannot afford it at this time, right? So he went to a place where it was available in excess and maybe a bit more affordable. So sometimes, um, also because a land is cheap doesn't also mean that it is good. So it's important that because you want to buy a property, you should do proper due diligence. Nigeria is structured as much as a lot of people want to say it's unstructured. There is the land registry. Go and check what is the status of the land. Now, if it is free, that's one conversation of status. Then there is land use. Is it for residential purpose? Is it for agricultural purpose? Is it there are a lot of questions to be asked, and it all of those things also inform the price. So for instance, a land that is earmarked for residential purpose is might be tipped to be more expensive than the one that is marked for agricultural purpose. Right. So a lot of these things, sometimes a land can be cheaper if you're a good negotiator.
Hmm. That's actually something I've not considered, which is that you should try to negotiate it, right? And who knows, you might actually just really get like a very good offer. Another question that I want you to speak on is that to diasporans primarily is they're always worried about real estate in Nigeria, right? And I know the topic today is Nigerian real estate still attractive? So this is going to be a
Yeah.
2-in-1, which is Nigeria's real estate very dangerous in the sense where you can buy a property, get everything settled, and the government can come and just say, I want it back. Right? Because this is something I hear a lot when interacting with diasporans. So I want you to speak to that fear that they have, which is that is the government just ensuring that they want to scatter this real estate in Nigeria? And is it actually profitable? And why is it profitable? What are those signals that make real estate profitable for diasporans?
Now, to every rule, there's an exception. There are rare cases where, yes, you can say the government did this, the government did that. But I can tell you for free, about 80% of the time, people made wrong investment decisions. And when the government take actions, the outcry of the uninformed would be that government is taking our properties. That's not always the case. Now, Nigeria still positions as one of the most attractive locations for investment. And I can tell you this, Nigerians are not buying properties in Nigeria, but Indians, Chinese, are buying properties in Nigeria. So if it was that bad, we won't be talking about foreign investors. Now, case in point, um, demolitions have happened in Lagos, but people broke the rules. There are certain rules that should be followed if we are going to coexist properly. So, for instance, if you are buying a property, ask, was is the land respecting the correct setback from the road? Is it for those, if there is a waterway, is it respecting the appropriate setback from the waterway? Because all of these things that we do, it doesn't just affect you, it affects everybody. Now, the government that everybody blames is not a robot. The government is made up of Nigerians also, who have been put in place to make sure that the entirety of everybody, of the populace, gets quality living, irrespective of whether you are rich or you are poor. So, for instance, if you have 50 million naira, you can go and say, I want to build on the waterway, and you block it. Then the person who is next to you, their house gets flooded. It does not make sense. So, back to the question, is Nigeria a good place to invest? The answer is absolute yes. There's opportunity for growth, there's opportunity for profit, but it's also important to ask the right questions. And for those who have made mistakes in the past, I have a customer who told me that he's a mathematician. If he buys 10 properties and one goes bad, or even three goes bad, the truth is the five that goes good will cover that. You will not even remember the loss of the five of the three that went bad. That's how profitable the Nigerian real estate industry is. Now, mind you, it's business, like I said. Sometimes you could make losses either out of naivety, act of God, whatever the case is. But trust me, the ones that you get right will cover for the losses. And I encourage people who are investing in real estate. See, if you are ironing your clothes and you burn one of your shirts, it won't stop you from ironing clothes. True of us.
True.
So when I hear people say, "Oh, I don't want to invest, I lost this," it's not reason enough. And I tell people, if you are cooking soup and today it was too salty or you burnt the soup, will it stop you from cooking soup? No, it would not. It's just one bad experience. And another important thing, I hear a lot of people talk about bad experience, and I ask them, is it your experience or you're telling somebody's story? If it's your experience, we can address it. But if it's someone else's story, I'm sorry, you don't even know what it feels like. You're just a storyteller. Don't be a storyteller. Dip your feet in the water. Be in the game.
I don't even know how to proceed from this because you're actually very spot on, which is a lot of times we all know a brother, that an uncle, that something, something, something. And so sometimes we might leave out the details from it, right? We might not be in it. And so we might leave out the details where even whether it is the person that made the decision could have just looked a bit more clearly, could have just seen, oh, there was an error with it. And I also liked how you mentioned that a lot of times for us to actually have a sane society, it means that there are certain rules and guidance. So you have to know what these rules and guidance is. So for people in Plateau, people in Ogo, people in Enugu, you need to know what exactly your government is saying about buildings. What are the spaces that they've asked you to leave, so that at times when they eventually come, you can say, "Oh, I followed this." Right, so why are you still doing this? That helps you with negotiating in cases like that. So that's actually very good. Thank you, sir. My next question would be around the return. What is a bad return? What is a good return? Right? Or what should Nigerians look out for when they say, oh, this property is a good investment because it's generating me XYZ amount?
There are a lot of calculation that goes into it. There's a lot of calculation that goes into it. Um, but most times, given time. Now, properties also, on the average, a good return is, I'll use land as an example, is typically between 15 to 30% annually, right?
Hmm.
Now, for someone who is buying for the first year and you bought it for 1 million naira, 15% is 1,150,000. So don't be in a hurry to sell, right? Don't be in a hurry to sell. So when you hear now, if I had a graph, it is not a straight line. Sometimes for the first few years, it's like a flat line. So usually I would advise anybody buying land, hold for at least 3 to 5 years. So that the things you saw that made you buy the property will come to life. So if you say, oh, there's a road coming here, there's an infrastructure coming here, hold until that thing happens. Because for the first few years, sometimes it could be a flat line, and then before you have that astronomical rise in value. So a lot of people enjoy when they hear people's astronomical rise, but they forget that there was a time where it was a flat line. So the flat line should not discourage you, but typically 15 to 30% annually, and it compounds. So if you can wait 10 years, if you can wait 15 years, I've experienced it even before I came into real estate. My dad, before he passed, bought a land for 100,000 naira on the mainland, and we didn't even have, I didn't even know about the land. Only for someone to call my mom that someone wants to sell your father's land, so sell your husband's land. And at that time, that property was valued at maybe around 10 million naira, right? And that was about 10 years plus. He just bought it, left it there. So, but if we're looking at it every year, we'll say 100,000, 110, 115, 200,000, it might not even make sense. So that's it.
You have just given a typical or practical example to something you shared earlier, which is patience, right? Which is that it is going to grow if you keep looking at it every single time. You might just be calculating it as very little. By the end of the day, it actually really compounds. So the longer you actually wait, the longer the value comes in. And this is because by that time you see more development happening in that place, right? We can all agree that when you look at a road that they are building, they can take long time building the road. Nigerian factor or non-Nigerian factor added to it. And at the end of the day, this road is now good. All of us are running through, speeding on it, and all of that. So one of the reasons why you hold your properties for a longer period of time after considering that you have bought it in the right location with the right pricing is that development happens and this now pushes the property to actually grow. And a lot of times it takes a new community time to move into that area fully, right? Because when families are moving into areas, they're thinking of jobs, they're thinking of schools, they're thinking of where they can really relax and do other activities, right? So that is why you wait. You're not just waiting randomly, you're waiting for the development to actually happen. I want to ask you about the shortlet space. People often say that the shortlet space is a bubble in the nearest future. What do you think about the Nigerian shortlet space or maybe Lagos shortlet space?
So it's going to appreciate. A lot of people, let me use last year as an example. A lot of people complained last year about the shortlet space, but one thing they forgot was that purchasing power was lower, right? So what it meant was everybody was facing it year round. The shortlet industry faced it in December. That's what. So a lot of businesses were facing it and adjusting. Now, because the shortlet space, for instance, in December usually would be its peak period, and
Yes.
what the expectation did not match reality. So it's not a bubble. People people will always need it. People will always need it. For instance, we don't have enough infrastructure that supports our population. By that I mean we don't have enough housing. We don't even have enough shortlets, right? But as much as um, it's important. The shortlet industry is concentrated maybe on the island and specific places on the mainland. So what it also means is that if you are diving into that space, you have to know what the end user needs and build or design for it. And you have to structure that you are making money all year round. So the shortlet business also has a lot of strategizing, has a lot of marketing to do. It needs some form of expertise. And for those who are going into it and they're just learning, you have to apply some patience and actually master it. It's not a bubble. It's not a bubble. The pricing might be a bubble because of reality. There's a cost to profit ratio that people are trying to adjust to. Once there is a balance, those who are already invested in it would know that they will make their money.
Yes, that's very good. Thank you for sharing that light to that, meaning that they are always just always a process. And you're actually very spot on. We don't have enough houses, right? And also the purchasing power for Nigerians in Nigeria always fluctuates based off on economy, based off on different happenings in and around Nigeria, which is actually very spot on. So I wanted to just take a moment to tell people in the chat session, you can start to drop your questions, any questions that you have regarding real estate, so that we can pick it and answer it. One of the major things that we want to ensure that we do is that we answer your questions, whether you're in the UK, in the US, on Nigeria's real estate space, and really understand it for yourself. And when you are going into it, you're going in it with a very clear head. So I wanted to speak about inflation. Nigeria has a very high inflation. How does this affect real estate, or is real estate not part of the people or part of the sectors that are primarily affected the um, by inflation?
So for those who already invested in real estate, they are happy for the inflation because first, it has proven one of the things that real estate marketers tell people, that real estate is a store of value for your money. So when now that the prices of things are skyrocketing, they are better positioned because, for instance, inflation is impacting prices. It's one of the drivers of prices in the market. I remember 2015, a two-bedroom was typically around 20 million in Lekki Phase 1. Now, that same two-bedroom is around 200 million in, in Lekki Phase 1. Now, if you bought that at that time, the worst that would happen is that you have to renovate. And if you are selling, you know that. But if you have kept that money, so inflation for real estate is not a disadvantage, it's a security. So that's how um, active real estate investors look at it. It's one of the drivers of capital appreciation. So it's for, if you're already investing in real estate, inflation is your friend.
That's actually a very interesting perspective. I don't think that I have actually thought about, which is actually very interesting, which is that the fact that when you come in early, it helps you when the market goes up and also down. So that's actually very interesting. David has a question. He says, "What are the documents you get as aside? What are the documents you get aside buying a land in order to be a good prospector of the land, processor of the land?" So I'm guessing that he was asking, what are the documentation involved in land? Hello, Mr. Oge, can you hear me? Okay. Mr. Oge probably just has a bit of network issues. Okay, so wait for him. So while we wait for him, again, welcome to Keble's YouTube channel. Here we have conversations every week on helping you make real estate decisions in the right way. So we have a community. We'll drop the link right now in the chat for you to join. The community is an even more of an exclusive community for you, an exclusive group for you to meet other investors, other property owners, for where we discuss even further on topics that we discuss like this, for you to get more insights into real estate, for you to know how to use your money. And if you're into like a business owner, a founder, we have even more opportunities. So the link will be dropped in the comment section right now. You can also do well to subscribe to our channel, especially if you're in the diaspora, if you're in the UK, if you're in the US. We have great opportunities for you to participate in and helping you ensure that you earn really well from real estate. You get to build a good real estate portfolio here back at home, and you can get consistent rental income. Okay, okay, welcome back, sir.
Thank you very much.
So my question was around what David asked. So David asked us, which is what are the documents you would get when you purchase a land?
I didn't get the question.
He asked around documentation for land.
Okay, what documentation is necessary for land purchase?
Yes. So when you buy land, what documents should you be expecting?
Yeah, so basically you need a receipt to acknowledge the transaction, that the transaction happened. You also need a transfer, right? Like a deed of assignment to show that, okay, I bought this and it was being transferred to me. Um, a registered survey is also very important. And a registered survey is showing you the actual location, which also will be quoted in the deed. And another important document is the contract of sale, depending on how the purchase is made. Sometimes, if you are buying outrightly, it also means that you might just be giving a deed straight up. But if you are buying in installments, you need a contract that states the terms and conditions of the transaction. Mind you, most times the contract is even more important than the deed, because you hear people complain about things like service charge, even when they buy houses. It is a contract that protects you of what is obtainable in what you are buying. If you're buying from an estate, a contract tells you what is obtainable, what is allowable. If it's a land that needs some form of perfection, if you are the one handling that, or the person or the seller is handling that, whatever, the contract contains all of those information. And a deed is basically transferring rights of ownership from one person to another. Depending on who the seller is, sometimes they might give you other kind of letters, acknowledgement of payments, invoices, and stuff like that.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think that was very detailed and important. So you guys can drop your more questions in the comment section. I'd like to round off with this is what are the trends we should look out for in real estate in the next few years?
A lot of people will be moving to emerging markets, and a lot of people would, there is, because of population increase. So in the next few years, if you want to better position yourself in the real estate market, go to emerging markets. That's one. Two, Nigeria also has a bulk population of the younger generation. By that, what do I mean? I mean people in their between their 20s to 20, maybe between their 16 to 35. So what that, so maybe 25. What that means is there will also be an increase in demand in housing. Now, one of the reasons why prices are skyrocketing in the market is because there's not enough housing to to cover the, for instance, on the island, if you go to search for a house, once you find that the house is affordable, before you breathe turn and turn, it is taken. So what it means is that too many people fighting for too few items. So if you want to position yourself, you can take a space in the housing market, properly position yourself, and you make a ton of money. And also for land, emerging markets are doing wonderful numbers. So if it's something, if the space you want to play in, I have a customer who bought 30 plots of land for 50 million naira, 2018. This is about 9 years later or so. Yeah, about 8 years later, and it is valued, each plot is now valued at about 35 million naira. And he has 30 of it. That's almost about 35 of it. That's almost a 1 billion naira. And he bought it for just 50 million naira. Now, he's not even trying to sell. That's the crazy part of it. So, but what it means is that he's positioned. And that's what I also need to say this. One property cannot make you wealthy. A lot of people think is one property. When people say I make money from real estate, it's not one property. You cannot buy one plot of land, and even if it appreciates astronomically, it's not going to it's not going to do the wonders that you're expecting. So at the point where you're investing, invest in multiple properties. So that's one trend that you should look out for. Not just, oh, I buy one here, I buy two there. Invest in a lot of it and understand the game, and then you make a lot of money.
That's actually very interesting. David is back with a question, which will be our final question. So, is there any document in purchasing a land from the government?
I didn't get that.
If you buy a land, would you get any documents from the government?
If I buy a land, yes, according to the Land Use Act, the governor of a state has the right to transfer documents, right? So it's important when you buy any property to go and apply for a governor's consent. That's one. The second, if it is land, make sure that the survey is registered. So those are the the documents that you typically would get from the government. And if it's maybe a freehold land, you typically should apply for a C of O. But aside that, most of the documents you will get will be a buyer-seller kind of transaction. But I'd advise people strongly, because sometimes people want their properties to appreciate. Perfecting the document is one of the key things that helps properties to appreciate.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I know I said final, but maybe this is the actual final. The people in diaspora in particular, what is something you want them to take out of this session, having established that Nigeria is a profitable place to invest?
For people in diaspora, first off, they have the upper hand. Now, if you have the upper hand, take advantage of it. Now, the crazy thing is that a lot of the news that filter out of Nigeria are the negative news because they go viral. And then they tend to see a lot of it. Now, they tend to see a lot of it, but they also forget that we also hear a lot of the negative news over there, the shootings and the rest, but we still want to go there, right? So they should also take that stance from us and still come and invest here, because at some point in their careers, they might need to want to return home. Their families might need to want to invest heavily. So, for instance, like I said, Dangote, what he would have loved to do is refinery in Lekki Phase 1. One of these diaspora persons, you might not want to come back. Your son might have a fantastic idea to come and build a stadium, a club, an event center. And we just say, "Oh, my dad has one land there, I can take advantage of it," or has this property, or your children are visiting the nation and they have a place to call home. So it's important. They should not overlook. You have the upper hand, take advantage of it already.
That's actually good. You have the upper hand. Use it. And since you already established it from the beginning, that you have a lot of foreigners already buying investment here. So if it is as bad as it looks, it means that they won't also be here. And like with every news, the bad news always spreads. When things are going smoothly, people don't say anything. People just keep it to themselves. So, but when something happens, when something goes wrong, people actually then talk about it. So there are more good news in real estate than bad. And real estate is consistently generating income. And it is not one land, one property, one house that would make you wealthy. It's actually having a good portfolio of your income that builds you the wealth that would pay you for life. I think that is something that I have learned and I've also picked up from this session. So I want to say thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. And thank you to everybody that also joined. It was such an amazing session. I didn't want it to end until I saw the time, like, oh my God, time has gone. So we'll come to the end of this session. We'll be back here again next week with another special guest and just really learning from it. So in the comment section, we have added links to Mr. Oge's social media platforms where you can reach out to him and just be part of what he is doing and also learn from the wealth that he shares. You can also join the Keble community, follow us on social media, and even subscribe to our channel because we have really exciting insights for you on our channel. So thank you so much, guys, and thank you so much, Mr. Oghe. A really round of applause. David is saying thank you because he
Thank
was like,
you very much.
thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone. Do have a wonderful weekend if you are on Saturday. This is Saturday for you. All right. Bye, everyone. Bye.